Hey everybody, welcome to Rock in the Valley's Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. My name is Mike, I am not for Coltrane, and I am your host, and today we are revisiting an episode from last year. This was in fact episode 12, recorded live on the 12th of November in the year 2020. My live guest that evening was the one and only Bill McConney, a singer, songwriter, all-around great human being. He was with me to do some live performance and to talk a little bit, and I was also able to share with him, and of course with you, some highlights from the live streams that I've been producing for Touchstone Theater's Festival Unbound 2020. A whole series of performances back in the fall over at Touchstone Theater. The excerpts that I shared on the show on episode 12 included performances by Hector Rosado and his Latin jazz, as well as the one and only Bagiti Kumalo. So some selections from those, as well as some live interaction with Bill McConney. Enjoy! Hey!
Hey,
There you are!
Mike?
How's it going? Welcome to Rock in the Valley's Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. My name is Mike, I'm not for Coltrane, and I hope that you have with you something warm and tasty and delicious with you as you're joining us this evening, because I'm very excited because speaking of warm and tasty and delicious, I have here with me the one and only Bill McConney. Hey Bill, how's it going, buddy?
How's it going? Cheers, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks so much for making time to be here for Rock in the Valley Cyber Speakeasy.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So yeah, good deal. And I'm not 100% certain what people were able to hear at home. I think I had it worked out so that when I was addressing the audience, you were responding to me like, "Hey, there's Mike." I don't know if the audience was able to hear that or not. We'll play the tape.
I already messed up the intro.
It's okay. It is just fine. We'll go back and play the intro. We'll go back and play the tape afterward and see how it turned out. Hi. What do you have? What do you have to drink there?
I have some Weyerbacher 18.
Nice.
Very tasty.
Yeah.
Good for starting the evening off with you.
There you go. Very nice.
How about yourself? What do you got there?
And I have, well, first off, I should say this. This is my wonderful historic Bethlehem mug. Several years ago, I did a gig over at down with the historic Bethlehem folks, and they didn't have funding to be able to pay all the musicians, but they were able to provide some merchandise, which is cool.
Hey,
so I'm like, hey, this is
mugs
nice.
are great. Yeah.
Mugs are really nice, and this is a really nice mug.
Well made,
yeah, I mean, so historic Bethlehem, very cool. And I was trying to think of something that would be appropriate for like this sort of cold gray day, and like, hey, something warm would be nice. And we're sort of getting into the holiday. We're on the cusp of the holiday season. So what I have here is actually, it's mint tea.
Oh.
But then it's sweetened with brown sugar because I ran out of white sugar. So brown sugar, and I got a couple cinnamon sticks in here, and some vanilla, and some fresh grated nutmeg. I'm like, this is going to have sort of like a warm,
it's very festive
holiday, kind of a festive thing. And it turned out not bad. So there you go.
Very nice. Great mug.
I love the mug. So yeah, that's very cool. So shout out to Historic Bethlehem. And there is, in fact, live music that's going to be happening at Historic Bethlehem. And I'm sure that Ralph Pagano has been posting about that over at...
yes, Christmas in the Quarter.
Yeah, Christmas in the Quarter and all the cool things that he's been doing. And Ralph's website, which I'm blanking on, is...
Voices in the Valley.
Voices in the Valley. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, so he's a great guy.
He is a good man. So, and he also is one of the hosts here on Rock in the Valley, so people should definitely check that out as well. So, Bill, people I think a lot of people do know about McConney and all the cool stuff you do. Graphic designer, in addition to being a very talented guitarist and singer and songwriter. So I'm happy that you're here with us this evening. How would places that sort of the music scene that you're part of, or how people might have run across you before. Oh, right, that guy.
Let's see. Well, when people did go out and enjoy themselves,
Right.
I'm from Easton, so I would spend a lot of time at Pearly Baker's. One of our mutual friends, Carter, runs his open mic, and
Right.
it's always a good time with a lot of musicians. But just bounce around. I've really just kind of been sticking to myself during all this, and just working
Sure.
on music and trying to, figure out what's next.
Yeah. Well, I know that can be really challenging things. I mean, for my end, I like pivoted to almost exclusively digital, but there
Yeah.
have been a lot of people who, and it's great that people have been going out to wineries and other places that are able to do sort of outdoor seating.
Oh,
and
sure.
Performance. Have you been able to do some of that as well, or has this been kind of like, what, we're just going to stay focused on the critical stuff right now?
Yeah, really. It's been pretty quiet summer into fall, other than just last weekend doing the Christmas in the Quarter that Ralph had me out there for. So that was a very nice time. A lot of happy people to be outside still with the weather.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the gig. Yeah, and so where people, if they are walking around historic downtown Bethlehem, where people go to find the music and that kind of thing.
It's the if I remember it, the Luckin Mill.
Yeah, it's the one that's in fact the one that's shown on the mug here, I believe.
Yeah. I thought I'd get a little closer and see, but no, they have great grounds there. A lot of historic buildings. I took a couple pictures while I was there, so it was a good time.
Very nice.
Everybody was in good spirits and getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's weird to be getting ready for the holidays. Well, I guess it's not that weird. It's already almost mid-November, but
sure, yeah.
But
it's early.
It's sort of the I think it has been a good idea that a lot of places have sort of stretched out the holiday stuff so that people can do as much of it outdoors as possible.
That's what I feel, yeah, and that's why
who knows what's going to happen in the coming weeks.
Exactly, and it was great to see everybody out there testing the waters. I believe it was their first weekend last weekend. For the Christmas in the Quarter, and they're going up until, I believe, the first weekend of December.
Yeah, I think that's what the schedule looked like.
Music and lots of good stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of music, I would love to hear one of your songs. It's been too long since I've had an opportunity to hear you perform live.
Sure.
It sounded wonderful during the sound check, and I would love for the folks who are watching along right now to be able to partake in that as well.
Well, thanks for the kind words. And it happens that I have the guitar right here.
Oh, that's wonderful. And if we could do this without knocking your camera over, one of the big challenges. What are you going? Do you have a song queued up, or you have to? Because like some of our other mutual friends, like Scott Harrington, would be at this moment like, I don't know what I'm going to play. So
I thought a little bit about it, but I think I'm going to start out with an original. It's called Good News California. So a couple of years older, but it's a fun one to play.
Excellent.
Good one to...
Take it away, man.
Thanks.
Makes you wonder, could this be the best?
There you go.
Very nice. Very
A little
nice.
rough, the first one of the day, but
Well,
thank you.
but no, that's and I like how it's yeah, it's like needing. I think there are a lot of us who are like, yeah, California sounds real nice right now.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
on a day that when it's been a little, it's not been that cold, but it has been sort of dampened.
Yeah, those poor people though. As long as there's no fires, they don't have a lot of fires.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, tell me about the song. You mentioned it's a couple years old. What was the California is such an evocative metaphor as well as a reality. So what went into it for you?
I feel like sometimes maybe my lyrics don't mesh together well, but this one was about somebody that was from California, and just how you have muses that inspire me to write a song. Just a good friend that worked at a coffee house, and each day kind of thought about different things, and it just kind of came together and fell in my lap. So
it is always so wonderful. Like,
as you'll find, I'm very bad about talking about my music.
That is okay, but it is so wonderful when all the pieces are just like, oh, that's right there. That's wonderful. Because the way I end up with songwriting, and I guess this isn't terribly surprising to people who know me well, but it's very sort of analytical. It's very sort of like here all assemble all the different pieces, and I sort of think about sort of engineering it. But when there is a moment when it's like, yes, that, it's like, oh yes, capture that, because that doesn't come along forever.
Yeah, one of the two that clicks.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Good deal. Yeah. Excellent. Well, and so you mentioned that we're all living in this new reality of limitations in terms of how we can gather in person and how we can do gigs. And so one of the features tonight was to reflect for the audience, folks who are watching right now, hi, about what happened with Touchstone Theater. I've been working with Touchstone Theater for, I guess, close to a year and a half now, with doing various things. It seems like they very quickly embraced me as part of the family. They're like, hey, this guy's willing to put in time and do stuff. All right, let's go. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the very cool way that Touchstone put together Festival Unbound, this sort of massive multi-week celebration of all kinds of arts here in Bethlehem. And as you and I started to talk about at the top of the show, I've done clip shows before. In fact, I did a show I think late in the summer, like early August, late July, looking back at an event that we did at Touchstone. But I've never done a clip show with a live guest who doesn't really have anything to do with the clips
related to the material.
So we're going to see how this goes. We're going to see
how. I'm just going to wing it.
You're see how the improvisation goes. Yeah, no, I feel good at it. But by all means, please jump in with questions. Questions as we go forward. So
I'm looking forward to the footage.
Let me see this here. All right, so we've got yes. This last year, some people may have seen this. I think people can. Now, Bill can't actually see this. Oh, yeah, Bill can see this.
I can, yeah.
You can see this. So this was the poster for last year's Festival Unbound, which was the first time that Touchstone had done this particular event. And part of the connection, the reason it's unbound, there had been a big event called Steelbound. About 20 years earlier, this sort of marking the end of Bethlehem Steel and sort of, finding way through art to sort of come to grips with how Bethlehem as a town was changing. And they wanted to do something big in related to this anniversary, so they came with this idea of a festival unbound. And for about 10 days in October of 2019, it was like, whatever we can do to turn the city inside out. And so there was theater, there was stuff going on every night, there was music. Late at night in the Touchstone parking lot, there was a big event over at Zollner Arts Center they called Joyful Noise that had basically mashups of all these different community performing groups who otherwise wouldn't necessarily be in the same space collaborating. It's really cool. So the whole concept is, how do we create a vision for the future of our whole community, Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley, the larger Lehigh Valley,
like a visual dream on display.
Yeah, and and use dance and use art and use visual art and craft making, as well as all sorts of community gathering and music and theatrical presentations. So there's like, they got such a powerful response. It's like, well, yes, let's do something like this again. And then COVID. It's like, okay, so what exactly happens with that?
The curveball. Yeah.
It's a rather significant curveball. And with the idea that they came up with, which was tremendous, was to essentially do a whole series of events outdoors. Instead of 10 straight days, it was over a period of the better part of September as well as through the first half of October. Live events, in-person events in Touchstone's parking lot. And on the back of their building, they have this kind of balcony fire escape area, which became a performance space. And additionally, they built a stage right on the ground for some of the other presentations. And it was really great. And I should say, in addition, they said, "Hey, Mike Duck, you seem like you know something about live streaming. You wanna run these for us?" So that for anyone who, for any reason, that if being there in person wasn't the ideal thing, maybe if you have childcare limitations or mobility challenges, or just we're concerned I'm high risk for COVID, so it's not a good idea for me to be outside, with other people, to be able to enjoy it that way. And at the same time, for the people who were there, to make, first off, it's outdoors, but then making sure everyone has masks and everyone's being distanced and setting up tables and chairs 6 feet apart from each other and all those sort of things. So it was really cool to find new ways to. Yeah, but it's really cool to sort of see how art still happened. That we were able to do all these cool things. Yeah. And so one of the performances, one of the first ones that we had, was the Latinx Block Party, featuring Hector Rosado and his Latin jazz. Now, Bill, have you run into Hector before? Or
I don't think I have.
I'm sure you know him by reputation, right? Because his name is always going to come up on the Lehigh Valley Music Awards and that sort of thing, and just a tremendous performer. It was really cool that he was there with. Let's see. He's on the congas. There's a drum set, keyboard, bass, trombone, and trumpet. So that's, I guess, a 6-piece band.
That's a wall of sound. Very nice.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. And so the piece that I have that I'm going to cue up right here so folks can watch along, and Bill will be able to watch along.
Yeah, great.
One of the highlights from the night was like, oh, I know that song. Song Caravan. One of the jazz standards, the Juan Tizol and Duke Ellington song Caravan. This isn't the whole song because they went on for like 10 minutes, which was really, really cool. But to give people a taste of it, I'm gonna play just a little bit, the first part of Hector Rosado and his Latin jazz playing Caravan. Here we go. right? How cool is that?
That was really good. They're all all very
Yeah.
talented.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it's such a. And well, at first, I should say, are you familiar with that song?
Oh, the song, yeah, but not Hector. I don't really know him too well.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I think I first really learned about Caravan when my kids' jazz band over at Northeast Middle School had it as one of their selections, and so, but yeah, ever since then, it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good deal, and yeah, so I mean, and Hector and the band just played all night. They had 3 sets of, and they went from, I don't even remember what time it was, but it was quite a lengthy time for them to be playing, and they did just an amazing job.
That's great. And the horns on the balcony, nice.
Right. There was a shot in the middle. You could kind of turn the camera around. You could see a little bit about how everything was laid out. Depending how things go, I do have more footage of Hector and his band. I want to show one other clip from another performer before we get to that. We'll see, and maybe we'll have some more live music for you, or depending, you can be the judge of how we make things go. But yeah, so over the course of the whole event, it was a lot of really creative ideas about how do we respond to the current situation, as well as how do we use the materials and sort of the circumstances. So one of the next event after the Latinx block party was called Medical Workers Speak Out. And a number of medical professionals were able to just tell their own stories. And in some cases, it was people who had been working specifically with COVID patients. In a lot of cases, it was just, this is what it's like to be in this world right now. And, how do we find ways to respond to that? And so there were so many stories of that were so powerful. One of my favorite events was called Rumination, which was a walk. And there was audio that went into the headsets of all the people who were going on this walk together as we came through the city, and the sort of the voice responded to what we're seeing.
Matched to where you were.
Yeah, and it was really, really, really well done and very, very creative. And another piece was called Aloud, which was another the folks at Touchstone was working with some LGBTQ plus kids from a center over in New Jersey, essentially over Zoom, and sort of doing theatrical work and writing monologues and embodying like a pencil on the table, and it was so cool to sort of see all these different ways that people are sort of reaching out and like, yeah, this is the reality that we have. And then what can we do with this? And that if there are limitations in it, how can we use that limitation to kind of make art? And to me, both of those examples were really, really cool. Like, wow, that's excellent.
That was amazing.
Yeah, one of the events that essentially was in a lot of ways a continuation from last year was Homecoming. There was an event called Homecoming last year, and it came back again for this year's festival. I'm back. Yep, breaking things over here. Festival. So Homecoming was intended as very much was a celebration of the Black and African American community here in the Lehigh Valley. And that the idea of homecoming is something that has a lot of cultural resonance in the larger Black community, and especially after the summer we've had, right, with people asking a lot of really important questions about
big questions,
justice, and what is and mourning a lot of the really horrible things that have happened, and also finding ways to be inspired by the way that so many people were moved to be like, yeah. I'm aware now of a reality that I wasn't before, or that I wasn't aware in the same way as I am now. So it was really cool. And so part of the event was a candlelight vigil for everyone from, the people who were murdered essentially on slave ships, up through much more recent injustices. And also very much an element of celebration and sort of a call to action, like how do we do this? And the musical part of it was Bagiti Kumalo, and I think Bill, you've heard my bit about Bagiti, but if folks who are watching I am a big fan. But I mean, when you hear the guy play, you're like, oh my word, yes. The way that most people would have run into Bagiti before is the song "You Can Call Me Al." Paul Simon song, which I'm sure most people are familiar with. That amazing bass solo in the middle, that's Baghetti.
Yeah, it's not Chevy Chase.
It's not Chevy Chase. No, it's not Chevy Chase. And Baghetti was living in South Africa when Paul Simon came through and was recruiting musicians, and someone said, "Hey, you should check this guy out." And they got connected and
made some great music.
Absolutely, yeah. So all over the Graceland album, but also ever since then. And there's so many great performances. I really love the. I think it was probably like 10 years ago now. Paul Simon did the concert in Hyde Park in London. And oh man, and so that's Baghetti right there in front of all those people. and he was there also then for Homecoming at Festival Unbound, which was very, very cool. He was not with Paul Simon. Paul Simon has retired from touring, but Baghetti had put together a trio, a keyboard player and a drummer, and they were, again, playing all night. There were speakers and lots of other things happening over the course of the night at Homecoming, as well as some folks from local black-owned businesses and cool things like that. But it was really cool to hear the music that Baghetti and friends were putting together all night. And one of my favorite moments was when they did their very jazzy version of the Marvin Gaye song "What's Going On."
Oh wow!
Oh yes.
Please tell me you have that footage.
I do have that footage. I wouldn't have sold it if it weren't about to play it on you. Not a tease. So let's and this isn't because they're jazz musicians and they can just stretch it and jam it.
Sure.
So this is not the entire song. It starts right about in the middle, but I wanted people to be able to see the part where Baghetti starts soloing on Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On." So here we go. All right.
What a great video, right?
Isn't that cool? I'm like,
So
oh,
talented. When they got to that bridge too, the drummer, all of them were so tight.
yes. Oh, and I love that too. And I didn't have a chance to watch it as closely. And it's all, every time you look at something like this, you notice different
Sure.
things. But I
Yeah.
love how they just glance at each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
yep, that's the thing.
Yep,
And they just
we're going
like,
to the next part. Yeah.
right. And they're right on it, and they're so tight. Yeah. So that was such a great performance. So yeah, very, very cool.
Very
so,
nice.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and so for Bill's benefit and everyone else's benefit, is that all of these live streams for all of these, there were 8 events that were part of Festival Unbound. The walk that I talked about, that wasn't a live stream because it didn't really make sense with everything else.
Yeah,
But
to
all
follow
of the
it, yeah.
others, if you check out Touchstone Theater on YouTube, you can watch all of those live streams. And links to the Latinx Block Party and the Homecoming event, the ones that I'm showing clips from this evening, are in the description. So down below on YouTube, if you're watching this on, of course you're watching this on YouTube. Where else are you watching it? And I should point out that folks can go over to touchstone.org. Let me hold this so people can actually see it. Touchstone.org/unbound2020-donate. Touchstone.org/unbound2020-donate to support the really cool cultural, all of the things that are happening over at Touchstone Theater. So definitely check that out.
Very cool.
That link is in the description as well. And I'm hoping to have folks from Touchstone to join me on this show in the next couple of weeks, because they're very, very deep working on Christmas City Follies.
Okay.
Have you ever gotten to see Christmas City Follies?
I don't think so. No.
So it's one of these great Bethlehem traditions, and I think it's something like 20 years old now.
Oh, wow.
And if I had the Roman numerals in front of me, I'd be able to tell you exactly how old it is. But I believe it's more than 20 years old. It's basically sort of it's a variety show, a comedy variety show that they write a whole brand new show every year.
Oh, wow.
For the holidays, and it's one of the really Touchstone. Well, it's one of the Touchstone events for Touchstone Theater, right? One of these sort of the essential traditions, and again, finding a way to pivot and do it virtually this year. And so essentially, they're making a movie on the fly, and so I'll be helping with the video debut of that coming up in later December. But definitely, everybody should go to touchstone.org. And learn more about Christmas City Follies. Check out if you go to festivalunbound.com, or if you poke around on the Touchstone website to find more information about Festival Unbound from this year. And yeah, tickets go on sale in, I think, another week or so for Christmas City Follies. So yeah, good
Very
stuff.
cool. You should put that sign up one more time.
I should put the sign up one more time? I probably should. That's not a bad idea. Thank you, Bill. Touchstone.org/unbound2020-donate. Go check that out and support the good folks over at Touchstone Theater. So yeah, and speaking of pivoting, I know that we were starting to talk a little bit about how you've been able to get out a little bit, and we had the show that you were able to the gig over at downtown Bethlehem, at historic Bethlehem. But I know that also there's some, we can't be going out to open mics the same way that we had been, which is of course where I would have usually been running into you. But I understand though you do have some other plans coming up that you're working on.
Yeah, just, trying to keep the music going and stay creative and work with some of my favorite people. I'll be working with a really great bassist and producer, Marty Chamberlain. This weekend we're getting together.
Nice.
So,
oh wow, that's right around the corner. That's awesome. I didn't know it was that soon. And people may know
I'm really excited for that.
Marty Chamberlain is part of Acoustic Kitty.
Acoustic
Carter,
Kitty project.
Right? Mm-hmm. So people may know Marty's work from his work with Carter Lansing and Acoustic Kitty project. That's very cool. He's a
great bassist, great person. Yeah, really excited, really grateful to work with him. So
that's excellent.
So yeah, so we're starting a couple of songs, tracking some songs this weekend, and go from there.
Good deal.
So
full-length album, EP?
Oh, we're just gonna get started and see what happens. nothing really planned. we're picking. I said, what's your favorite ones, and we'll go from there.
That is, and I love that because that's one way that you and I are very different. I'm like, I want to plan going into it. I want to know what the outcome's going to be. I have all the different pieces of it lined up, and you're like, yeah, we're just gonna see what happens, which is great. Which is so great.
I will say I was ready for today. Though I prepared. I tried all the the Zoom stuff, and we talked about it and got it all together. So that wasn't by the seat of my pants.
True, and I appreciate that. And people who are listening right now, when it sounds so good, they also appreciate that. And so with that,
I can hear very clear. Yeah.
If you have a song that you think might go on the record that you're prepared to play, I think that'll be really cool to hear right now. Threw your curveball there.
Put me on the spot.
Well, I mean, it's good practice for this weekend, right? Because if you're going to be tracking, you want to have.
That is true.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's try that.
Yeah.
This one's newer. It may go on there. We'll see. This is called The Stone. little abbreviated, but there you go.
I really like that.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I really like that. I mean,
all right, so maybe with your approval, we'll do that one.
That sounds like title track to me, man. That is really cool.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh man, that's very cool. And one of the things that's tell me, what were you going to say?
Oh no, go ahead.
Because one of the things that's, well, I mean, it's a great riff that you've built it around. That's a really crunchy, grab you by the something and take you somewhere. but it also sort of made me think about, oh yeah, and when this was sort of filled out with some more instrumentation, which made me wonder if that's the plan for. I mean, is it going to be just you with the guitar and vocal? Is there going to be some overdubbing? Is there going to be other musicians involved? What's the?
Well, I mean, yeah,
or have you thought
I guess,
that far? I mean, it's fine if you haven't. I'm just curious.
I guess I like to daydream, and I hear a lot of other sounds
Yeah.
in that song particularly.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
hopefully get some other people involved and see who wants to play with me. But I know
Very cool.
Marty's heard it, and I think he wants to do that one. So
Yeah, I I concur.
I
100%.
appreciate it. But I was going to say, let's spin it around. Tell me what you've been up to and your music.
I'm doing this, man. This is so yeah, it's been trying to keep up with all of the different life commitments and on all the way that everything is sort of rearranged these days.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned before, that a lot of it is pivoting to doing stuff online. So I had started doing this Coltrane Tuesdays webcast a while ago, and I went for a full year, actually a full year plus a couple weeks, and then I took a couple months off, and then it was in November of last year. I said, all right, season 2 starts, and I've done every single Tuesday at 12:30 in the afternoon over at initially just on the Not for Coltrane Facebook page, and then we got sort of folded into being part of the Rock in the Valley lineup as well. So that's pretty cool. And I've been coming up on episode 52, the final
Very
episode
cool.
of the Coltrane Tuesdays second series. Then I'm going to take a little break from that. But this show, the Cyber Speakeasy show, is going to continue through the end of the year. So
Very
the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is going to be the end of the Coltrane Tuesdays thing for a bit. But the Cyber Speakeasy is going to keep going on Thursday evenings now through the end of 2020. So, yeah.
Boy, you sound really bored.
No, the thing is, I make these commitments, and I'm like, well, I told someone I was going to do it, so now I got to do it.
Yeah, and that's great. You do a great job, and
Thank you, sir.
I know everybody appreciates it when you have them on, and all the information that you tell everybody. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Well, and one of the cool things, which is definitely the where I was going with when I was hearing you play them, like, ooh, I need to learn how to play that, because for the Coltrane Tuesdays, what I've been doing for these past month and a half or something like that, I've taken just a couple weeks off, but almost every show I've been starting with a cover by somebody here in the Lehigh Valley, or I'm covering a song written by someone here in the Lehigh Valley. So, like this past week, I did a song by Ramin Shagayan. I did a song by Carter Lansing, a Bev Conklin, Wayne Smith song.
Oh, Bev.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's like, yeah. So one of the songs from her her most recent album, the Garage Sessions, and a song by Cass Noel, and a song by Bronze for Birdie, May from Bronze for Birdie, and so all these really cool people. I'm like, and so that's very much what I was hearing when I was hearing your song. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm going to then now listen to this recording that I have because he was on the show, and then I'm going to learn how to play that, and we're going to go from there.
It's very easy.
But sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you're going into the studio, how does I'm sure that you've had, and forgive me, I don't know the full extent of your discography at this point, but I'm sure you've had some studio experience before. What has been the things that stand out to you about that experience, and things are like, oh yes, I'm looking forward to this, or, oh boy, this was challenging last time, I'm going to approach this a little differently.
I think the biggest thing is probably when I was in the group The Rue a few years back.
Sure.
We went into a studio up north, Red Rock Studio. Ken was a great producer, really nice guy. It was a really nice home studio. Actually, Paul Simon did something there. I don't know what album it was or what project it was, but I know that Leon Rudbone did some work there. So he's had some of my favorite people.
Anyway, all right.
Getting back to, I guess I was just really nervous walking into that studio atmosphere.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So probably just that. And I feel this time around, like I already feel comfortable, going over stuff with Marty.
Sure.
So I think it's just being comfortable is like the biggest thing for me, because I don't want to clam up and not put out something that I'm happy with. So yeah, I can do that. I tend to do that.
It's hard. It's hard too. It's like, it's just, and having to get out of your head like, oh man, this is being recorded. There's a permanent record of this performance. Yeah. And to be able to kind of set that aside and like, nope, we're going to do this a bunch of times. Any one of them might be fine. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, I told Marty, I was like, hopefully I'll just get it on the first take, because then I'll think about it too much. And then after I think about it, it will just evolve as we go on.
Right. Well, that's happened with some famous recordings, is like they put down a scratch track. And for people who are not familiar, the scratch track is sort of the initial version. then you sort of layer the other instruments on top of that. It's what is sort of the guide that everything else is recorded to. And frequently, you record the scratch track with the idea like this is not going to be part of the final recording. That's why it's it's going to get scratched out, right? We're going to re-record the vocals, or we're going to re-record this rhythm guitar part. But there have been some, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but there have been some where the scratch vocals just was raw, and it was real, and the emotion was right there, and it was just so much, and then when they went back and tried to recreate it, it just wasn't the same
lost
magic.
It. That's exactly I'm worried about.
I don't think you need to worry.
I'm really excited. It should be a lot of fun.
That's very, very cool. And so you say you're going to be working on this, I guess it's over a period of weeks and months.
Yeah, I guess over the fall and the winter. Like there's no really rush, and just kind of having fun and just kind of learning, because the studio is still fresh to me. So I want to absorb as much as I can.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to hearing it. I look forward to hearing how the process goes. So
I appreciate it.
We definitely have time for you to do another live song if you're up for it, because that would be really, really cool.
Oh, are you sure? Or do you have another clip lined up?
Well, you know what?
I wouldn't mind hearing Hector.
You're the guest, so I will respect that. Yeah, so we can do another one from Hector. One of the things that we did, and we tried to sort of mix this up as much as we could, but the wonderful Bill George. I'm not sure if you've met Bill, one of the co-founders there over at Touchstone.
Okay.
Great actor and just very, very creative. And he's been doing a lot of videography recently, which is also cool. So during a few of the songs, during a couple of the musical performances, he took his camera, and his camera was actually wireless. Like, it transmits a Wi-Fi signal, which is pretty cool. Now, there's a little bit of a delay, which if musicians like you or me may be able to tell that what's happening on the screen doesn't quite line up with what's there. But yeah, so this additional clip from Hector's performance, from Hector Rosado and his Latin jazz, a large portion of it is Bill with our as the roving camera getting close-ups on members of the band when Hector and the folks were playing. So I'll put that up just for you, Bill. Just for you, Bill. Let's put that up. All right, here we go. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I'm in awe when I see real musicians play like that.
Well, that's how a lot of people feel when they see you play, man. It's very, very cool. But yeah, no, I'm very glad that that clip also got to see a little bit of what just Hector can do. Because man, he is
all over the place.
He is right there. And yeah. So yeah, good stuff. So definitely people should check out Bagiti Kumalo. Definitely people should check out Hector Rosado. Like I say, there are links in the description on the YouTube thing down there to check out the full version of all those shows there, of those couple shows from Festival Unbound. And I think we should put it up again, right, Bill?
Of course.
People should go to. Oops, no, that's Bill. That check out touchstone.org/unbound2020-donate. touchstone.org/unbound2020-donate. And support the cool things that Touchstone Theater is doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. This has been really, really cool, Bill. It's been too long since we've had a chance to hang out in any capacity.
I agree.
Ordinarily, it would be like, every couple of months, maybe at one of the open mics in the area, you and I would run into each other, and it was always, oh yeah, Mikani's here. How cool is that? and we haven't had that opportunity. Yes.
I miss our time when we did the farmers markets together too.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Have you been doing any farmers markets?
No, I haven't. I don't know if I think Easton maybe started out with some music early on in the summer, and then I don't know if they continued outside music. I think other than that,
and I think Saucon Valley has started up again with music.
But I did get an email. Yeah, I saw that. So that's cool. Good to see. Yeah,
I know Dave Fry and some other cool people have had chances to get out and do that.
Good.
So I mean, but like you say, it's great that there have been institutions and businesses and organizations that have been doing everything they can to try to create opportunities. I mean, and I know they're not doing it just for the musicians, but the musicians we're also grateful that the opportunities continue to exist, that we can get out in front of an audience. It's great for the organizations to have the benefit of like, hey, there's live music here. This is a reason people should come out and hang out in a safe and socially distanced and outdoor manner.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of places in downtown Easton that that the outdoor seating, and they do have some live music. So everybody's just trying to make it work, but it's a good thing.
We're all doing what we can.
Yeah,
you're a good man, sir. Thank you very much for making time to be here with us this evening, Bill.
I appreciate it. Cheers!
Cheers to you, sir.
Talking to you. It's been too long.
It has been too long. All right, so. And then on that, I need to put it back over on to me. Thanks so much to Bill Mikani for joining me this evening. Thanks so much to all of you who have been checking this out, either who are watching live or the folks who may have been watching this on the replay, which is cool too. That's totally fine. We will be back here, right here in this same space, 1 week from tonight at 7 in the evening for Rock in the Valley Cyber Speakeasy. We have a few more episodes. We've got like a bunch more weeks left here in 2020, so we are going to be back doing some more new episodes right here on Rock in the Valley Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. My name is Mike. I am not for Coltrane. Check out all the cool things that are on the Rock in the Valley schedule, and including shows that may be coming up right after this one. If it doesn't suit your fancy, there's plenty of other stuff out there. Check out the Rock in the Valley YouTube page. There are links to stuff on the Rock in the Valley website as well. My name is Mike. I'm not for Coltrane. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you right here in this space next time.